never even thought paralysis. It doesn't happen to us. He's never expected any sympathy. He's always known that he made the wrong decision to get on that bike under the influence.
What I would say to someone who thinks it's okay to drink and ride is, you think it's okay for your kids and wife not to ever see you again?
My wife was thrown approximately 100 feet.
The next thing I remember is waking up on the ground, on the road, on all fours, screaming.
After I hit the deer, it just about busted her in half.
My car hit him head on and just kept on going, you know. And as far as he or his family was concerned, I left him to die.
My helmet got ripped off my head and ended up inside the car. I'm just damn lucky I didn't take my head with it.
We were all on our motorcycles. We made one more stop and had a couple of more beers, and actually my choice was to do a couple of shots also, which unfortunately on my way home there was a car that came down a hill and did not negotiate the stop. I went to accelerate to get in front of the vehicle because at that point in time I knew he wasn't going to make the stop. He was going to roll it and he came right into my lane. And I had to take the ditch. I started back up towards the road and my foot peg on my motorcycle hit the gravel and shot me back down into the ditch. What happened next was there was a culvert that was approaching me quite quickly. It was dark, so I really didn't know it was there. My motorcycle hit the culvert, launching me 37 feet into the air. As the bike started to come down, I hit on the front tire, which catapulted me forward and off of the motorcycle. And I struck one of the local businesses there. I hit their sign and shattered my T11 vertebrae, instantaneously paralyzing myself from the waist down. My therapist is, speculating that it could take up to 2 years before I really get fully recovered from my incident. Because of my drinking, this is the end result. And this is something that I'll have to live with for the rest of my life, and my family also.
But there's still no promises with that he'll walk. They don't say, yes, you will. They don't say, no, you won't. We're young. Our children are grown. We have two grandchildren that truly love their grandpa and don't understand why he can't get on the floor with them to color. Our life was just beginning, so to speak. Our life together, just the two of us. No children, no worries, no financial burdens. I can't even begin to tell you the financial stress that it's put on us.
My suggestion to all riders is please don't drink and drive that motorcycle. It's just, you're not always the one that's responsible for what happens. In my case is a specific example of that. If that person wouldn't have been there, if.
Me and a bunch of buddies always met up on a Sunday to go for rides on our bikes, and one of our friends that were with us, Homer, went out the night before, and when he did show up, he seemed to be a little different than normal for his riding and things like that, and he continued to drink throughout the day. I mentioned it to him a few times, and he neglected to listen to me. It was a very windy day, beautiful for springtime in Wisconsin. We left the last establishment we were at, and he decided to go ahead of us, and it was so windy and I wasn't going to keep up with him, and come up over the hill, and there his bike was and his body was laying. So it was only seconds after the accident, and I ran up to him. He was breathing. By the time the police officers got there, the helicopter was already en route. He came to, and we talked for just a little bit. They got him stabilized to fly in the helicopter, and he died on the way to the hospital. What happened to Homer was he had too much to drink, obviously. His reaction time was very slow, so when he come up on the conversion from 2-lane to single lane, it was a quick turn to the left, and he did miss it. His bike slid 100 feet into the barricades, and his body actually was stopped by a barricade. And you know, it's a simple, easy maneuver. I mean, when your reaction time is slow, I mean, you're just asking for it. I guess the biggest lesson is that not to be selfish, because you know, you might just think you're only hurting yourself, but I live with that guilt every time I throw my leg over a motorcycle that I could have done something. You can make the first choice just by not drinking on a motorcycle. There's no reason to take something that's so free and so fun and so awesome to do and to ruin it by having a drink. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me.
My wife and I were returning from a dinner ride that we had every Thursday night. And we were actually traveling over the interstate. And there was a car that was exiting the interstate on an exit ramp. And I actually saw the headlights, and I'm very conscious and was watching to make sure that she stopped. And she did, but then she proceeded to pull out. And we were, like I say, we were going about 50 miles an hour, and I locked up my brakes, unfortunately, and impacted her at about her front driver's side tire. And both my wife and I were ejected from the motorcycle. I landed just on the other side of the car. My wife was thrown approximately 100 feet.
The next thing I remember is waking up on the ground, on the road, on all fours, screaming, and I couldn't find him, which was very scary. We were kind of on a hill and I could see cars coming. I didn't know if he was in the middle of the road.
Her helmet practically cracked in half, and it literally saved her life. Be very aware of your surroundings and the traffic. Even though we knew that this woman had stopped, she continued to move on. And because it was at night, we didn't have that eye contact that a lot of the instructors do teach you, to have eye contact with that other person. All I remember doing was screaming, "Hold on."
I can't remember anything after he said, "Hang on." They said if I didn't have my helmet on, I probably wouldn't be here. It just the way I landed was on my head, which my head went down into my shoulders, and I have a lot of neck and back injury now because of that.
At the time of the accident, I wasn't 100% a helmet wearer. And we were just lucky enough that that night we did have our helmets on. And today, my wife and I ride with helmets all the time.
I would say 100% they need to put the helmets on. Doesn't matter if your hair goes flat or what, put it on.
I got about 3 miles from my house in New Richmond, and just over the brow of a hill down in the valley, there was this deer standing. For a moment, I maybe wasn't looking as I crested that knob, but so I had no time at all. I mean, when I saw her, it was way too late. Had I not had a full face helmet on, I'd have messed up my face bad, because I hit basically on my face. If it was over 200 feet, I skidded down the road unconscious. Everything playing out as it did, I was so fortunate to have always, worn all my protective gear. Like I said, the helmet saved my life. But I had the mesh jacket with the full body armor, and that thing is pretty tore up. It's really scraped a lot on the right-hand side. I had gloves on; those were tore up pretty good. But because of those, I really didn't lose any skin to speak of on my hands. Deer is a terrible problem in Wisconsin to motorists in general, but particularly to motorcyclists. I don't know if there's there's no trick or anything like that. A person just has to be very aware. But a helmet, bar none, is so important. It doesn't take much of a fall or an accident at all, and you're dead, or you're laying in a hospital somewhere, laying in a home somewhere.
A couple of my buddies who had motorcycles had called me up because I just got my new motorcycle. I had my permit. I was just starting to ride, just learning how to ride, and it was a beautiful day. 80, 85 degrees, no wind, sunny. Just a beautiful day to ride.
I had some mixed drinks, some vodkas, Bloody Marys, and then I had some more beers.
On my way home, I was probably 5 miles from my house, and I was hit head on by a drunk driver who fled the scene.
Came to, and I was in the middle of a field, and I didn't know what was going on. It was all I could see cop lights in the background, and I was drunk, so I didn't want to have anything to do with the cops. So obviously I ran the other way.
Then I must have flew over the handlebars, obviously. I went into the windshield, head first, I'm assuming.
When the victim hit my car, his head flew through my window and actually ripped off his helmet, and the helmet laid in my front seat, and he went flipping over the car, and I'm almost sure that they decided that his feet went through the back window and he hit the ground.
I don't remember the accident at all, but he must have come over across the center line a couple times, because I had like a 20-foot skid mark from me locking up the brakes, and then there's like a patch of like 125 feet of just straight skid marks, probably from where he hit me.
And then I seen a helicopter, and I was like, okay, what did I do that they would have a helicopter looking for me? So I laid down in the grass.
I was airlifted from the scene. I had to get somewhere between like 10 and 15 units of blood the first night, 8 to 12 hours of surgery. My left leg was the worst. I didn't have any shin bone from like, I don't know, 6 inches below my knee to like 3 inches above my ankle.
When they told me, honestly, I didn't want to live anymore. And I was in the jail cell, and I told them that.
It's not an accident. It's a choice. It's a choice you make. And the choices you should make is to not drink and drive at all.
It really opened my eyes to the fact that I had a problem drinking. But this really gave me the desire to quit because of how bad I had injured someone. And I never really understood the dangers behind drinking and driving.
I got to talk to Mr. Lunn when he got sentenced right before he went to prison. And first thing he said to me when I walked in the room was, "I wish it was me on that motorcycle instead of you." And he had tears coming down his face. And I said, "There's two things in this world me and you got to deal with." I said, "I don't have a leg, and you're going to prison."
I don't want other people to make the same mistake that I did, because the guilt and all the feelings that come along with it are so deep and such a burden to carry around.
I'm going to ride again, and I will be safe again. I'll never ride without a helmet, never, ever, ever. Zero in Wisconsin.
0 in Wisconsin.
0 in Wisconsin.
A vision we can all live with.
A vision we can all live with.